Let's go, baby. Are we live yet? Yes, I see.
3, 2, 1. Yes, we're live.
Okay, boys. How is everyone?
Good.
Happy 4th, Nirmik.
मेरे को ना वो मे द फोर्थ वी विथ यू मेरे को समझता ही नहीं था.
May the 4th.
स्टार वॉर्स जब पूरा कंप्लीट किया तब जाके थोड़ा लिंक लगा कि अरे अच्छा.
मैं भी नहीं देखा स्टार वॉर्स एक्चुअली. मैं फर्स्ट
You should.
मतलब मैं एकदम बच्चा था तब देखा था. फुल दिमाग के ऊपर से गया. फिर अपन इधर थे ना आर्लिंगटन में, तभी देखा था मैं फर्स्ट मूवी. उसके बाद नहीं देखा. इट वाज गुड. नर्ड हर्ड.
एक्चुअली मार्वल और डीसी से बेटर है इसका स्टार वॉर्स का स्टोरी टेलिंग. यस,
आ गया. नहीं रे, मैं सुना है, मैं उसका ट्रेलर देखा, लेकिन वो क्या मतलब सही लगा मेरे को ट्रेलर देख के. मूवी देखना है एक्चुअली. आई वांना वॉच द मूवी. अरे वो 1970s का मूवी आई गेस, लेकिन उसका ग्राफिक्स आर रियली गुड.
boys, so super excited for today's podcast.
यस. लिंक शेयर किया कह रहे नर्ड हर्ड पे वगैरह. मैं अपने हाँ कर देता हूँ मैं करने को. टुडेस टॉपिक. हाँ. It's here. Now it's here. Hey, we say it's the future technology, but it's been here for 100 years.
Yeah, exactly.
अरे मुझे भी बहुत ऐसे 2-3 टेक्नोलॉजीज में देखा है कि जो नेक्स्ट नाउ वी थिंक कि फर्स्ट स्टेज इज गैसोलिन एंड सेकंड स्टेज इज इलेक्ट्रिक. लेकिन वो मुझे भी लास्ट वीक पता चला कि इलेक्ट्रिक कार्स वर एक्चुअली electric cars were invented before gas powered cars, something like that, even though it was not viable. Or same with अपने computer interface, even before Apple and Xerox came up with UI, there was a company, I don't remember, उन लोगों ने तब भी AR बनाया था रे.
हाँ क्या?
हाँ, before mouse. हाँ, उसका I'll share, but yeah, it's crazy कि electric vehicles, early 1900 में someone thought कि we should do this. तभी पता नहीं बैटरी टेक्नोलॉजी का क्या था डेवलपमेंट, बट या.
I think just one second.
Let me put it like this. So if you kind of just quickly Google anyone, if you can Google first electric car versus first combustion engine. So the electric car was like theorized in 1832, way before the first engine that was made by Carl Benz, or at least kind of a blueprint was set by Carl Benz in 1885. So this was like around 50 to 60 years before, there was this ideology of, okay, if you want to travel from A to B, electric would be the best, or the most simplest option to do so.
फर्स्ट इलेक्ट्रिक कार 1885 में था.
No, first electric engine, kind of a crude electric vehicle, was
Okay,
developed in
okay.
1830,
Babo.
1832, and until it was in 1870 that the actual electric car was practical and people used to use it.
अच्छा.
So,
I mean,
and then later on the internal combustion engine was kind of formalized, and then Ford came in, and then they introduced the Model T.
well, I mean, I don't know if you know, but so what was like the battery storage technology at that time? Because I don't think lithium ion and all that stuff was existed back then, 1870s and all that.
If I can, I mean, I don't know if I'm right, or maybe I will be wrong at this moment, but then the technology was something similar to how capacitors work today. So it used to be stacked, and there was an electrolyte in between, and the capacity was very low. So that's the reason the practicality of electric vehicles might not be, I mean, they might not be that feasible, and that's the reason people eventually moved on to gasoline based or petrol based engines. Or maybe that is the possible reason why electric cars were never commercialized or mainstream. They went mainstream just because of the fact that how far can they reach.
Right. अमोल बोल रहा है बेकर इलेक्ट्रिक. ये क्या है बेकर इलेक्ट्रिक? क्या है पता है क्या किसी को?
I don't know.
Amod, if you
Amod.
can expand.
I think Porsche
to made
who made electric car. होगा ना, Porsche ने भी किया रहेगा maybe.
अभी now Porsche is coming up with Porsche
I
Taycan,
can't
right?
they already have
Yeah,
in
I mean,
production. People are buying it. Yeah.
Hey,
Dream car.
yeah, I mean,
Ford didn't come up with electric car. I think अभी आया उनका last year, like they announced they are switching, like they are making that transition. उन लोगों को बहुत backlash मिला था उसके लिए कि अरे उनके जो iconic cars है ना Mustang वगैरह, they unveiled कि okay now
Maki.
this is a electric car. I don't think वो पता नहीं कि now it's completely electric or you will have both options, but I don't know, I liked it.
Ford ka now there are two electric cars, and the second one I think is much more revolutionary, which I think I'll get into. But first उन्होंने Mach-E किया last year या last to last year announce किया, which is like Mustang का electric version, but like SUV hybrid kind of scenario. Oh, actually I think they fucked up there a little by trying to make Mustang into a not a sedan. Not a sedan or whatever. That's why. बट अभी जो उन्होंने फोर्ड F150 लाइटनिंग किया है, होली शिट, दैट कार इज अमेजिंग. लाइक you look at everything that they have, all the thoughts that they have put into it, and it's so detailed, dude. It's so detailed, and it makes so much sense. And like for everybody who is not in US, right? This must be like we are not used to this concept. Even I wasn't when we went there, and I think Kedar will be able to relate. Is that trucks या जो pickup trucks जो बोलते हैं अपन इंडिया में, we don't really have pickup trucks, but if you just Google Ford F150 and look at that, so those kind of cars are very famous in US, and the Ford F150 is the most famous vehicle in the world by anybody, not just truck.
इंडिया में you have Tata trucks.
अरे
हाँ,
वो
but
टाटा ट्रक को जब उड़ा देंगे ना, फोर्ड एक्सीडेंट हो गया ना, फोर्ड और टाटा का.
मतलब वो तू जो सिलेंडर लेके जाते हैं वो छोटे वाले बोल रहा है क्या तू? हाँ, वो तो
सिलेंडर
कुछ
वो
नहीं. हाँ, मतलब देयर आर डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ व्हीकल्स कंप्लीटली. सो आई मीन द फैक्ट दैट आफ्टर वो टेस्ला ने साइबर ट्रक रिवील किया, फोर्ड गॉट टू वर्क बेसिकली, एंड whatever they are whatever they have presented, that I think is just like crazy.
अच्छा.
I think Ford made a statement by completely redesigning their iconic Mustang brand and launching a pure electric vehicle around that brand by kind of making that statement that okay, electric is the future, and we as Ford can also deliver electric vehicles which are high performance, as well as that would expect your conventional expectations, like how fast it can go, how far it can go, and all those kind of performance parameters as well. So that was I think when I first I read the news that okay, Ford is building this electric vehicle and it is a Mustang. I personally could not wrap my head around the idea that okay, how can a Mustang be an electric car? Like you are used to hearing. I mean, I have hardly I hardly had any chance in at least getting close to such vehicles. But then mostly it was influential from the culture that if you're having a game or if you see it in your local vicinity, that car, its noise, the way its vibes around. So and an electric vehicle, and basically they had statements that okay, they have put in artificial engine noises and you can select between different modes if you want that kind of experience. So that's something crazy, but then
Yeah,
yeah,
that's.
it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think for conventional car lovers, the biggest problem with electric cars, of what I have heard, now it's not, and I'm sorry to anybody who is one of them, that, okay, just 1 second. I think Amod is joining us. So we want to welcome a new
Hey,
member today. Hey, Amod.
Amod is our guest. What's up, Amod?
What's up,
Hey,
bro?
what's up?
I'm good. Excuse my presence. The presentation is shit, actually.
It's
But
all good.
I have not been. I haven't had a haircut in the last 4 months. So
It's all,
It's all good,
it's
man.
all good. Yeah, I mean,
Amod, can you
But then
give a brief description before we continue with the topic? Or like,
uh,
yeah, your bio, like where you work, and your ex, your understanding, because I know you had a to
what?
do with cars.
Why do you want to know about his ex?
No, I didn't ask ex.
You heard X, right?
yes, I even heard X.
I think you heard something X, something else.
Yeah.
Never
Anyways,
mind.
ready. Amod, go on.
uh, so I am an industrial designer, and I have done transportation design, masters in transportation design. So you
Interesting.
can say that I design cars, and currently I am focusing on automotive interior design. So I work
Mm-hmm.
with a company called Adient that does interior design, and we design all sorts of interiors of all sorts of OEMs, including level 1 cars to level 4 autonomous cars. So my job is to envision their future, to make sketches and to make them in a presentable manner and then show to the company and then get it done into 3D models and so on, and then make a clay model and then life size prototypes and all that sort of stuff.
Wow,
That's cool,
interesting.
man.
That's great, man. You're actually
So
living a dream job. I mean, most of us as kids, we dreamt of making cars and designing cars, and you are actually doing that as a pay job. That's good. That's great.
Actually,
it's
that's
fun.
really
It's kind of fun. I was how many people are listening to this? I don't know, but yeah, I was never great at academics. It was shit. I never. That's not for me. So I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know that there was a field like car design and transportation design, and
I
I
know.
realized it and then did it.
Yeah,
And I
Mm-hmm.
think I think in India, you growing up, you tell your parents you want to grow up and build cars. Parents are like, you know, how are you gonna do that?
no,
But I think
I think by default there is, yeah, yeah, you mean mechanical engineering, right? Yeah.
Right. So when I introduce myself to people, I have to do this routine. Like right now, I am doing for 20 minutes, but I am not an engineer. I have
Yeah.
zero knowledge about
yeah,
engineering. I am into
Amod hates engineers.
Oh my God.
Amod is a Steve Jobs level design thinking. It's
it's
the
not that
it's
it's
Amod will design, and it's the engineer's responsibility to fit in
Yeah.
that thing.
तुच्छ काम करने के लिए.
So, so we have an artist in the group today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, Satvik, you were saying something.
Uh
You lost your
I
point.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, actually,
I stopped
He was
your.
saying about
I
how
found Amod's topic to be interesting.
he was talking about how artificial noise is now implemented in electric cars, and I think that's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
very good. It's a good
Artificial
thing to
voice.
artificial noise of the engine of the car,
Okay,
because
okay.
what happens is that what people realize that the person who is in the car is basically cocooned in the car, and the acoustics of the car were designed in such a way that the vehicle sounds don't come inside. So they thought that why not amplify the sound inside and
Hmm.
then the outside sound go away completely,
Okay.
so that the people who are outside the car can also be a little bit at peace. And electric cars have absolutely no sound,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
the transition is happening from mild hybrids and current low level performance vehicles that are being produced right now. Those
How
vehicles
many how many of you, just because Amod brought this topic, how many of you remember your first first encounter with any car that had an electric badge on it? Any sort of. I mean, how do you guys? How many of you remember that?
I think Kedar, your Jiju had one, right? Leaf. Or,
Electric badge. I didn't understand.
I mean, it was an electric car of some kind, either hybrid or
Yeah, no,
full.
it was pure electric Nissan
Yeah.
Leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't understand the question.
Do you
So,
remember your first
so
encounter with any kind of electric or hybrid car?
Oh, like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, I think mm, when I came in Texas, I don't think there are not a lot of Teslas in or electric cars in general in Texas. But my brother-in-law, he got a Nissan Leaf, and he got it because he was getting it cheaper through the company,
Hmm.
and he was like, okay, let's try
Interesting.
this out, and I got to try that car to do it. It feels amazing. It's a different
Yeah,
feeling.
that's mine speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, in India, the first car that I ever encountered that was electric was the
G
Mahindra Evo or something like that,
Reva,
which was a
Reva, Reva.
G-Wiz.
two-seater Reva. Yeah, yeah, Reva. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. It
Reva,
was a
Reva.
two-seater.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a two-seater, and I was like, at astonished, like, who would buy this car? That was my reaction. And I mean, and then later on, I eventually these mid range sedans like Camry, Toyota Camry, or the Suzuki Ciaz. These guys, got in the hybrid engines, wherein part of which was powered by electric motor. That
Mm-hmm.
was, I think, maybe supported by the petrol engine, but then that is when the hybrid kind of a situation came in, and then Suzuki also kind of introduced in it in rest of its model. Like, right now, if you understand the Indian market, the mid-level SUV of Suzuki Brezza, it also comes in an hybrid variant, I think, or maybe it is discontinued. But then, I mean, these cars were the early adopters of such change, and the only thing that they marketed them around was kitna deti hai. So these electric cars were more efficient, and like for your buck, it used to travel more, and that was the only punchline that these had.
Mm.
Yeah, I think Honda City also. I remember Honda City having a
Yeah.
hybrid version from quite early, like at least 7 to 10 years ago or something. At least one of the, maybe the highest version or whatever. But I think they had one. One of my dad's friend had one. I think I'm not sure, but for me, I mean, definitely the one that I saw first was Reva. There was one Reva owner somewhere near the press area. I don't know who it was, but I always saw them driving around that Philomena High School area for some reason. And
Okay.
Philomena.
Let me interrupt. What
yeah,
was their age?
I don't know. It was always a lady driving, so I don't know who it was, but
Lol. You there was so few cars that you actually know the how the owners looked.
yeah. I mean,
Exactly. I mean, we are
So I
stereotyping the owners of why,
Yeah.
through their cars and their habits.
so
I
I'll
Yeah, Ramod.
I'll tell you guys something. So in my third year of my college, we worked with this guy Chetan Maini, who is the owner of Reva. He founded Reva. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh.
and the designer is an Italian fellow. His name is Hubert Tassin, the guy who
Mm-hmm.
did Reva, and he proposed a newer Reva, which was then made, but it was sold to Mahindra because Mahindra owns the company now, and the
Okay.
vehicle that is being sold is called the E2O.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
I remember. Yeah, yeah, exactly. E2, correct.
So
E2O. Okay.
we were actually doing the design of E2O, and then we took a lot of references while we were designing those cars back in the day. Electric cars were still relatively new. The modernization of electric cars were relatively new. So uh, there was there was this company called there's this company called Renault, which made electric cars, small electric cars called the Renault Zoe. Uh, it was very much inspired by that sort of design, and then whatever
Mm.
Mahindra did to the design was completely not what we did. They completely changed the whole skin of the car, and
Mm.
you can say they
Why?
went
What happened with the Reva afterwards? Like I don't think I've seen one in last 10 years, apart from the
the
fact that
most.
I was not here for the last 5 years.
So
But
what happened was the vehicle was planned for India, and in India manufacturer was way ahead.
hang on a
So
second, Ahmad.
most Reva sales was done in UK. You'll Google it. It was rebadged as.
Ahmad, you are cutting in and out. We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the sales in India were terrible because it was way ahead of its time, and
Yeah.
it was exported to UK. Most Reva sales are done in UK. It is called.
Mm-hmm.
It was rebadged as the G Viz, G hyphen Viz,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and that's when he decided that the future of the company is no longer relevant in India, and it got acquired by Mahindra.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Because
Interesting.
imagine like 20 years ago, okay, you are rich and you buy, you see Reva and you actually buy it, and think of the problems you have, right? We don't forget having a infrastructure for charging car. You might not even have electricity anytime it will go in your home.
Yeah.
And till then, still then you took that bet. So those early adopters, hats off to them.
Definitely.
who you
So
know
we did a very comprehensive study of these users in Pune. I am right now in Pune. So we interviewed around 58 people with this car, and all these users, this car was not their first car. This was their third car or their second car. And very interestingly, they told me that the most important and the most terrifying thing was the range anxiety. How much
Mhm.
will the car actually go? So the people who bought these cars were not the first uh, adopters. Like not most of them were first adopters. They were very sort of educated, you can say,
I can't hear you. Hello.
I think we lost him.
Yeah.
His thumbnail looks funny.
That's a meme.
Mother, we
Meme
can't hear you.
face.
Yeah, but
Where is
anyways,
Nitish? Is he around today?
yeah. So I'll continue. The Reva, I think it was a cool concept, although I didn't like the design. I always felt that companies who are making electric cars before Tesla, the innovation is good, but they were also trying to make the cars look futuristic,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
half more than half the time they looked
Yeah.
ugly. And I think maybe in their mind that was their, hey, this is a new technology and we need some selling points, so let's make it look futuristic, but it looked like crap. So I was
I
thinking
think
if they had done a normal looking car
Yeah.
with the electric engine, you know
exactly. I mean, I was going to come to that point. I mean, as Amod was discussing about the car and the research and all those things, it occurred to me that if Tesla would not have been there, what would have been the future, or maybe where would we be as in terms of consuming, or in terms of mobility using electric power as the mainstream source. And I mean, interesting enough, if we look at this particular case, as we are speaking about the Evo and E2Q, E2O car, so most probably it's lack of, or maybe it's a different vision altogether. The business requirement would have been different, like, you just want to sell cars, or maybe just be in the market or create a buzz around. So, and at that time, I think there was not much of competition, or maybe not even a thought given against would electric be a mainstream uh, thing, and that has to go with the infrastructure. So not many people were in, and I think that's the case with any technology that has to come in, or maybe something that is new and people are yet to adopt. So maybe that's the problem. And if Tesla would not have been there, at least when I see electric cars, the first thing that comes to my mind is Tesla. Maybe I am
Yeah.
into that world. Maybe it's different, or maybe it will be different for someone, like someone in India, a grocery shopper, or someone who is not a tech savvy person. Maybe for them it would be the Tata Nexon, or some other such, or maybe bikes for that matter. Even India today is buzzing around these electric bikes. So for them it would be that. But then if you look at the source, or maybe how it initiated the idea of using electric power as the main source to travel from A to B, that I think is mostly the credit goes to the US and the Teslas as the influencers.
Yeah, I think Tesla, I see Tesla has, like, why Tesla is very important in in the history of electric vehicles. I think there are multiple facets to it. Number one, obviously, just, they technologically, or the core um, core things about a car, they kept them as the center of center of what is needed, like, for example, long range. So, and what is needed for long range, which is good battery technology, good capacity, and all of that stuff, and efficient motors and all of that, right? So I think Tesla, number one, was very instrumental in being able to do that successfully. Okay. And secondly, like, I think what Kedar said, right, which is, these people earlier tried to make like fancy futuristic looking cars that ended up looking worse than ever, right? But Tesla, like, I mean, you look at a Tesla, it doesn't really look like an electric car, right? There's nothing special about it. It's just another car. In fact, to be honest, I
Yeah.
don't even like Tesla designs that much. Like, the overall look of the car, is good.
Come on.
But I mean, no, it's good, but it's not like
It's
crazy
good,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not like holy shit kind of scenario. Some parts of it are like how the handles come out and all that stuff. But the overall design language, I'm not the biggest fan of the outside design language, at least. And I've seen
I
them
think
up
if
close.
if
So,
if I
Nirmit, you
interrupt
got, yeah.
if I interrupt you over here, I mean, you're talking about Tesla being the pioneers and all, but then I mean there was this, I have read this somewhere, and it is actually a very interesting fact that how Tesla came to be, and how they had planned this, 10 years, 20 years of a roadmap in terms of how they built up.
yeah.
And what I read was like they built up a super expensive car. I think that is most probably the Roadster,
Roadster one, yeah.
and sell that. And basis of that high performance. So Roadster is basically focused on performance, performance, performance. So how fast you can go, what would be the range and all those things. So when you get into that realm, so when you entered into the high performance game,
Right.
basically you come up with technology, you solve problems, and then you drill them down, and then you basically mass market them. So Tesla has been doing that, and
Yeah.
I mean, from the Roadster to which was the next model T, S, T, and then Y.
Not T.
So
Uh,
I
SEXY, something like that. Yeah.
right. Right.
So now it is Y,
Model Y.
the Model Y, and that has been very interesting. Or I find it fascinating myself. Like if you have that kind of a vision, and have that road plan. I mean, you basically change the entire world, and that is exactly what
Definitely.
Tesla is doing today.
Yeah, and I think, before I go ahead, I think Kedar had something to say.
uh
Yeah.
no, I just I was thinking, like, I I cannot exactly pinpoint how. I know their plan, like that thing, first sell Roadster and all, but what actually got it, that marketing hype, that I didn't understand. Because now I'm trying to remember what got people excited. I don't remember.
I think
Maybe.
so for me at least, like, and I don't know if this is true for everybody, but so I'm not a like a automobile or car lover in per se as compared to a lot of people who are like they love cars and they look like we have a friend called Ritesh. We have a friend called Kiran. These people are like crazy. They're like I remember Ritesh. He like looks at a car and he's like, "Oh, be yaar, wo car de." I'm never like that. So, but for me, why Tesla started catching my eye was the tech savvy side of it. When Tesla started becoming a part of tech YouTubers or YouTubers who usually do like mobile phones and all these reviews, now they are
Yeah.
getting into something about car, and mainly it was MKBHT, of course, for me, but others also who like the tech started coming drizzling into these YouTubers who a lot of normal people watched. I think that's
Yeah.
where for me also it started becoming like
Or maybe if I can add over here, if when Tesla made it look more like software is also important for car. I think that
Hmm.
also started an interest in how and why and all those things. So as Amod is back, I have a question for him, and maybe I'll ask this to all of us over here. But then in general, he is the person more into cars and the
yeah.
environment and ecosystem around. So maybe he's the person who can answer it well. So the question is, if you're given with a choice, and if you want to buy an electric or a petrol car, how many times would it be that a consumer would think that buying an electric car is more greener, it is more planet friendly, it helps curb the global warming kind of a situation, and I would then, because of these reasons, I would buy an electric car rather than buying a petrol car which kind of emits these greenhouse gases. So how many times would you think, Amod, that a consumer's choice is based upon the green part of electric rather than the other aspects of it?
Um, I think what is happening is if you talk about our generation, if you talk about Generation Z, or if you talk about millennials, they are having this sort of the thing that is happening around the world is something called as green pressure. It comes. There are four
Mm-hmm.
mega trends in automotive industry or car design or electrification that are happening. It is sustainability, personalization, well-being, and connected usage, connected connectivity. Under
Mm-hmm.
sustainability, there is green pressure. Under personalization, there is metamorphic design. Then there is consumer burnout, and then there is meaningful connections. So this is from a research that I did for myself, and I found it relevant. So consumers like me, you, Kedar, and anyone, we would like to see something interesting in our car. We would feel that if our car is having animal skin, that
Hmm.
is no. People will
Hmm.
call out names to you that, oh, he's not thinking about the nature, he's not thinking about the ecosystem and all. So consumers move out from eco status to eco shame, and that is a very important factor that most of the car design companies or most of the product design companies also day-to-day appliances and all these things, these manufacturers, they are also taking into consideration. And there is a statistic saying that the 9/10 of the consumer respondents said that they were equally or more concerned about environmental issues in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak also. So this virus also has propelled this thought, like it's
Mm-hmm.
just going way ahead. It's like most of these cars you are seeing that they are having sustainable materials. They are having animal skin is going away. They are using vinyls, or they are using synthesized materials. There's using they are using husk. They are using corn. They are using bamboo and all those sorts of things in their cars. So to answer your question, yes. I would definitely go for an electric car, and if I go for an electric car, um, I would look for all these things also that make it an electric car, because buying an electric car not necessarily means you're driving a clean car, because the energy that comes to an
Yeah.
electric car, where is that coming from? That also matters, right?
Right.
If it is coming from a thermal plant, then
Yeah.
what? So
Correct.
So
I will
yeah.
look into these small things that add up to the sustainability and the ecosystem value, and it excites me. I'll give you a very small example. Nobody must have
Hmm.
noticed this. Dashboards of the cars were made with plastics,
Right.
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Dashboards, door panels, and all these things.
Mhm.
Now, expensive cars and luxury cars use leatherette. They use carbon fiber, and they use wooden veneers. Now, these
Hmm.
wooden veneers are chopped out of from very old oak trees, 500, 600, 700-year-old oak trees. This is now defamed. It is like, this is absolutely not making sense in the industry right now. So what they are doing right now is they are trying to make the car feel like you are sitting in the home. For example, how you are matching your cushions of the bed to your bed sheet, how you are matching your uh, curtains to your bed sheet and all. In the similar way, they are trying to use the same fabric that goes on the seat. They are putting the same fabric on the dashboard of the vehicle. The latest example is the Octavia. Everything you touch, everything you feel everywhere is all fabric. It makes you feel much more welcome. It makes you feel more invited. The
Hmm.
touch point
Interesting.
is softer, and it gives a completely different perspective. It makes you feel very homely. So, and these materials that are they are using, they can't use leather because it's a premium. It's not a premium car. It's an entry level segment car. So
Mhm.
they go towards these materials like bamboo, or they use a combination of husk and corn and all these
So
sorts of
vegan
materials.
leather, that is what they market it as. Yeah.
Mhm.
That is also being marketed a lot. And it's a matter of pride these days that I'm driving an electric car, or I'm driving a car which is made out of sustainable materials. So this is in trend,
I think
and I
yeah, interestingly, you brought up two things. The green pressure term. I am learning this for the first time. So it is very intriguing. And at the same time, it's also about the eco shame that you're talking about. And I think I agree to that point that back of the mind somewhere, even if I'm buying an electric car because of its other benefits, or maybe I'm just buying it for the sake that okay, it is more greener. But then back of the mind somewhere, I'm kind of getting satisfied with the fact that okay, I am at least doing something, or at least maybe I, as you mentioned, the millennial generation Z would rather think that. And you also rightly mentioned, I mean, I briefly follow Mercedes, BMW, and their channels across. And these guys do sometimes, they boast about, okay, how they are using vegan leather, how it is sustainable. So it's very interesting that, you mentioned those points. Yeah.
yes, that is there. There is one more aspect, if you don't mind. I feel like
Yeah.
sharing
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
to you all of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, please go on.
Uh, so metamorphic design. So what happens is that there is a desire of personalization. Give me exactly what I want. This is what the people are saying, and this has always been a part of the story of the consumerism. And consumers will increasingly expect relevance as a service. This means that services and experiences that constantly adapt around the changing needs of the user. So putting screens in the car and putting these surfaces where these surfaces can be easily zipped and replaced, like replaceable covers are coming into the picture, because people are very bored of the same thing going on and on, and they want change. So these things are you will get to see these things a lot in the future. Apart from this, there is one more thing which I want to share. It's called consumer burnout. What is happening is this always on lifestyle that is there around the users. It's hammering so much that people constantly feel uh, to be in the need on fire. The people constantly need to be on fire, and they need to work, and they need to hustle and do all the things every day, be it personally or professionally. But it is causing consumers to experience a new state of depleted physical, mental resources. So uh, smart brands rush to help those burned people by adding pressures like these into their modern lives. So this is also a very mega trend that is happening, and to solve this, there are two ways. People are trying to have connectivity, and people are also trying to find meaningful connections in the car. So embrace smaller and intimate digital spaces that facilitate respectful and meaningful connections, and let them interact with like-minded peers and allow them to truly be themselves. So these things are being considered in electric car. So
So, so for a layman, in a layman terms, is it like, Mercedes has the mood lighting feature, and most probably all
correct,
the Audis and all the BMWs have this feature of mood lighting? Is
correct.
that what you're talking about? Like, I am exhausted with my work. Just wanna go home, and I just sit in my car, and there is this mood lighting. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about?
Exactly.
Hey,
When you walk
I
into a restaurant, when you walk into a very posh hotel, you always see warm light, right? There is no yellow light. Sorry, there's disturbance from my end.
Yeah.
it's okay. So,
Yeah.
I just remembered Tata had put their concept car for electric vehicle. Now I don't know if it was just a concept car or they actually wanted to, release it. I liked the deck. I don't remember if it had a steering wheel. I think it was a concept car, like fully autonomous, but it looked cool. And I was thinking, so in India, think if you're a conventional car manufacturer, it's not that profitable business. And so, would you make a switch to electric vehicles? Because it is exciting, but I don't see our current companies, Tata, Mahindra, putting that much, effort, putting that investment into electric vehicle.
I don't think
But
that.
if you,
Sorry, sorry.
uh, but if you maybe think like maybe some new player like what Ola is doing, like they are basically taxi aggregator, and now they are jumping into producing two-wheeler electric vehicles, so they don't have that much baggage of managing existing systems and workers, and they have come up with a huge 500-acre factory. Basically they are doing what Tesla is doing. I think they call their factory future factory, and they're gonna make like they have a capacity to make 15% of the world's two-wheeler. So I think what they are doing is good. It
So
will be
BYD came to India. BYD is a Chinese company that
Chinese.
is the biggest manufacturing company that makes batteries. Okay. So in Pune and all around Maharashtra, BYD buses are running. So what happens
Oh.
with the service-based design industry is you don't have to worry about infrastructure for the day-to-day people. Like I mean, like you, me, like anyone like that, because they would have designated places where these buses would go and they would charge and they would.
Hmm.
So that's why Ola will probably work. It's a good step, and
Wait,
I think it's going to
you
work.
said you said those public transport is BYD, right?
Public transport buses are electric BYD buses.
Okay. And then they go to their, but
So
Ola is not doing
how,
public transport.
what?
It's private transport only,
Oh,
personal
is it?
transport. But
I
yeah,
think
it's two
I
wheelers. They're
think the
making two
vehicles
wheelers.
that they are going to be made, those vehicles will be adopted by large companies like, for example, Zomato and Swiggy. The riders of
Yeah.
the Zomato and Swiggy, they will be given these sort of vehicles. So they are going to have these designated places where they would go and
Yeah.
they would park their vehicles. So uh,
Makes sense, yeah.
these, regulations are being pressed by automakers, and since most automakers have declared that they want to stop making IC engines by 2024, some by 2020, some by 2030. For example, Volkswagen now they have declared that they are not going to make IC engine after 2024, and even most of the big companies like BMW or Mercedes Benz, they have said that they are not going to make IC engines. So regulations are pressing, and then that's why this
Yeah.
change will happen.
Yeah, I think to that point, that's what I was going to say. So I think adoption of going to electric, it's never going to be initiated by existing players, at least I feel, because there is always inertia, right? They are well settled in their gasoline production lines and all of that stuff. So unless governments and external bodies try to regulate this, it's not going to be possible. In fact, I was looking at something yesterday and I found out that in somewhere around 1980 or 90, somewhere around that, I think 1990, California actually had passed a law saying that it is compulsory that if you are making like vehicles of XYZ size and XYZ amount of models you have, then you need to have at least one zero emission vehicle. And in the wake of that, everybody, like all those US companies, GM, Ford, everybody came out with, even the Japanese ones who were selling, they came out with one like EV model each. And there were around 50,000 cars sold, but after that all these companies got together and they lobbied against the government, they sued the government or something, and they made the law turn around. So the law was
Oh,
taken away, and after that the companies had the audacity to take back these cars and destroy. They crushed the cars. So there were
yeah,
some people who formed like an organization, and
yeah.
uh, they saved around 10,000 cars or so by like being activists and all that stuff. But like just like I mean, of course, the inertia anymore is not that much. Like now, companies are not going to fight back. Like Amut said, they have already rather pledged to go towards, EVs and or just going away from ICs and conventional gasoline engines, which is good. But I think like it's a this incident is like a good example of why regulations are necessary to make these old players start stepping into the futuristic technologies. Now Tesla always started with being electric, so again, like you said, Kedar, they didn't have the baggage, right? So they could go there, and of course I think just the trajectory of Tesla has been much different than any conventional car company. Like you
Yeah.
said, they came out with a supercar first. They sold it, gathered money, tried to make a lesser expensive car. And then they sold that, tried to make an even lesser expensive car. That's literally their. No other car company, I think, in the history has tried to do like it this way: make the most expensive one first, and then go
Yeah.
down by collecting money. Uh,
So what Elon Musk did was amazing. He
yeah,
tried to bring electrification and then he successfully got it. But
yeah,
that's not the entire race.
that's
We
true.
always say wait till the Germans to get into the game. So only on
Yeah.
horses.
Yeah,
And when you said that early adopters versus the conventional one, so I was very concerned about when Ford came up with the Mark E and then they came up with electric Lightning. So they wouldn't have the best battery, they wouldn't have the best tech, whatever. But what they have is the knowledge and they have the infrastructure around the pickup culture. Because deep down, proper American redneck who is in Central America, if you go down to any fuel pump, you will ask him about anything about an electric car, sorry, a pickup truck, what hooks are going to be used, what details are going to be used, how what is the pullage power, what is the turning radius, all those things. Ford has got that figured out. It has
yeah,
100, I mean, Ford and all these companies, like legacy companies, they have 130 years of knowledge.
exactly.
And they are going to use this advantage when they have the electric tech.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now the race is
That
actually won, and it would be really
that that
interesting.
that actually brings. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting, but that brings up a very interesting fact. Nirmik, you might recall this, but then there was this. I mean, Elon was again for in the media. He was trending because of this reason that Tesla and their patents, they basically published them and made them public, and
Yeah,
giving a statement that if they don't have competition, basically
Yeah.
the company would not survive. So
exactly.
at that moment, when I first read that, I could not understand. But then slowly and eventually, when everyone else came into the market, started building up these electric cars, and then it actually made sense. I don't know whose idea it was. Anything that happens in and around SpaceX, Tesla, it goes on the badge of Elon. But then the idea of a fact that the things that the competition brings in,
Yeah.
not just in terms of electric, petrol. It's a general rule of thumb. If you have competition, there is going to be progress. If there is progress, there is going to be innovation. So that is very interesting. That is going on, and I'll beg to differ. Yes, we do have a point that these new companies and startup, these are the go-getters in terms of innovation and how these things need to be. And being a 130-year-old company, or someone like Ford and Volkswagen, these guys do have their own drawbacks, but then they have their own supply chain and all those figured out. But then I think in general the trend now, as we look at, the next big thing is going to be, obviously it is going to be the global warming problem. And as someone mentioned previously, that there is government compliance, and it is very stricted in the EU, far stricter than India or US. So the norms over there are much stricter in terms of what is the emission, what is the noise, and all those things. So eventually, I think it's a win-win situation for this communication, or commute kind of, these companies who make cars, who make vehicles, who make these. So even Amod brought up an interesting point. Even in India, I don't have these statistics right now, but then 5 years before, if I can recall it correctly, 5 years, I read about KPIT. I read about a few companies in India who are actually investing with the Indian government to electrify the public transport. It would be trains, it would be buses, and the
Hmm.
example that Amod gave, that was in wherein even the governments are taking efforts in terms of electrification of commuting people from A to B. So I think that is a generic trend now, and people have actually realized the fact that we need to do something about these problems, specifically the carbon emission. But then it's all about punching them, or it's all about getting to that trigger point that, okay, and slowly, eventually, everything starts to cascade. So that is actually the situation. What I feel.
I think with Elon, to be honest, I'm not saying he's a messiah or something, but I think he definitely is somebody we don't deserve, because keeping apart his bad sides. The reason I feel that is because it's pretty clear, like from what Amod said, right? It's pretty clear the big players are going to come and stomp on him in the future. Okay, everything he has done. He announced Cybertruck, right? And
Yeah.
which is the first electric truck that was announced. After that, a lot of others tried, of course, Rivian, Lucid
Hmm.
Motors, everybody tried to create a truck. But then Ford comes out with its experience, and you go and look at the reviews for that from Lou Letter or somebody else. The
Yeah.
details, the amount of details that they have,
For the
the
Ford
attention to
truck,
detail. Yeah, the attention to detail. They have done small,
Yeah.
small things that are necessary for truck owners. Now, who
is
are
it
truck
good?
owners? It's too good, dude.
Nirmit, I want to bring out. Sorry, I'm going to
No, yeah,
interrupt.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, now this is again very. So this is something new that I'm going to tell you guys. Tolerances, right? Vehicles have tolerances. Germans, it's a religion. If you say that this is 1 mm off, they will shoot you. So they always
If they
have
say what?
3 mm tolerances. 3 mm tolerances
Oh,
everywhere
okay, okay.
around the car. Between
Okay.
the two doors, there is a shut line.
Mm-hmm.
It will have 3 mm tolerance. Everywhere there will be tolerances.
Okay.
So the world has been set by these people that this is the absolute way to do it, and there is no other way to do it. What Elon Musk did by Cybertruck was he
Yeah.
kept deliberate gaps between the panels. He did not curve the body panels.
Right.
He did not make any definition. He said that these things are not relevant anymore.
Right. True.
What people want today, you, me, sit in an Uber. What do you want in the Uber? You
Yeah.
want Wi-Fi, you want connectivity, you want all these things.
Yeah.
Similarly, in the new electric cars, people want screens that work flawlessly.
Yeah.
And none of these guys, these German fellows, they have not been able to put the screens.
Yeah.
Who are going ahead? Chinese people and Tesla. Only these two companies, only these two people are trying to do their best, and they are succeeding into it. And just like this, he mentioned details and details. People are chasing details, yeah, perfection. But it would be unfair for me to say this, but I really don't care about these details anymore. I feel it is not relevant, maybe. It is a utilitarian world and a world that needs to run by software and
Yeah.
technology and not all those fine things and details, which,
Mm-hmm.
generation by generation, they are like, okay, they are making that only, oh, this has to be this has to be that. So this is again an important thing that Elon Musk has proven, and he said that, f you guys. I don't know if I'm supposed to use bad words on this thing, but
No, you are not supposed
he
to.
No.
said, yeah, I'm not supposed to, that's good.
Uh,
So
I forget that
screw
too,
you
so it's
guys,
okay.
screw you guys. He even disrupted the ideology of design by changing the aerodynamic structure of the
Yeah.
A pillar of the vehicle, and
Yeah.
he completely destroyed it.
To
It
add
was
to
amazing.
that point, I think even the structural strength, right? In around
Hmm.
2 years ago, I think for his Tesla cars, um, the chassis and all that stuff that builds, right? I think he's now using the battery pack that is laid down on the bed
Right, right.
as a structural component
Component.
rather than
Yes,
just being
yes,
something that is fit inside the chassis, which is
yes.
also, I think, something unique. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I agree that he's definitely doing unique things. I just worry that he'll get stomped on by these others by just
I
having
think
mass market stuff.
Amod brought up a very interesting fact, and in my opinion, it is a way when these people they are experienced. I mean, it will happen with us as well. So if you're doing something, if you're trying to perfect that for years on years, we tend to develop this box thinking, and then we tend to believe that okay, this is the way and this is the only way. And then out of a sudden there is this guy who comes up and he says, okay, this could also be done in this way, and then you are completely blown off. So I think that is something which will happen in any industry, in any kind of a scenario, and that is good. That is as we discussed, competition is good, and maybe that will also change our mind. So I am for personally I am thinking of buying an electric car, against I being a lover of a diesel engine. It's kind of a thing,
I
yeah.
Yeah, Amod.
I I think he was just
I was
agreeing
just
with
saying,
it.
Plus one,
Next,
yeah.
his next car
Yeah,
would be electric.
yeah,
I mean, I love the Germans, but I also love what Elon Musk is doing. So
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
And I mean,
I'm personally not worried about Tesla getting stormed because I think the idea is important. Like, I think it's more like a mission thing. And even if, like, suppose Tesla gets stormed, right? Which I don't think it will happen because they have a superior product. And even if, others make a superior product, Teslas are not bad. So, what I'm thinking is they have other businesses as well. They make so many I think they're gonna end up giving those batteries. So even if they are not selling as many cars, they are giving their batteries to their competitors.
but Tesla doesn't make their own batteries. But I guess it could be white labeled as Tesla battery
yes,
and sold.
yes.
Yeah,
Are they
Panasonic.
still are they still taking from Panasonic? I thought they
Yeah,
stopped it
no, no.
because they have opened so many factories. I don't think they are all Panasonic factories, right?
So no,
But
no. But batteries, as far as I know, come from Panasonic, LG, and some other providers. But Panasonic is the biggest provider for them still.
Yeah.
The gigafactories, first of all, they're not yet completely set up, obviously, but the gigafactory concept is to have all the assembly, like production and assembly of at least most of the things in the same place instead of transporting them everywhere.
so if you speak of the technological giants, there is Panasonic, there is LG. What he said. Um, there is this company called Rimac. Does anyone know about this company?
Nope.
No.
Rimac started off as a component manufacturer company. It's like Koenigsegg. Koenigsegg makes hypercars. So
Okay.
Rimac and Koenigsegg, Swedish companies, they are component manufacturing companies, and they started off making batteries for these high performance vehicles. So they are
Hmm.
having the key technology of making the best of best electric batteries and electric motors that would deploy optimum performance. And now I think Rimac has teamed up with Hyundai to make batteries. and Hyundai is also doing big time. They are also going to be one of the key players in making batteries. And apart from this, there is BYD, of course.
Mhm.
BYD is like the father of all these people. Their batteries and their technology is way ahead. What Kedar or what I think Satvik said about the infrastructure that puts all of this together is, of course, Tesla. They are doing a brilliant job.
Yeah.
Like no other company right now has the capability and the manufacturing process orientation or the discipline to get everything together and make a nice soup out of it. Only Tesla is there.
True, true,
So
true.
everyone is just crawling right now,
Yeah.
and
They're
I
trying
guess
to play
if
catch up.
everyone crawls, Tesla is going to fly. One in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard arguments on both sides that Tesla's production quality is actually not that good. Some people say it is really good. It's obviously like Tesla, like anything Elon does, it's very biased, it's very subjective, and everybody has opinions. But that's fine, I think. It's just a part of it. Um, I think in terms of battery
So,
technologies, just to
I
add,
mean,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, I was just going to make another point as we are going through this discussion. And one thing that I would really want your opinions with is the practicality. I mean, it would be different for everyone. So someone would, for someone, it would be like how many people I can fit in a car. That is one practical aspect. For some, it would be how far it can go per, so usually we used to deal with this kind of a fact that if I'm paying 100 rupees for for a liter, how much do I get out of that 100 rupees? So, usually if I'm driving a bike, it is around 40 kilometers. If I'm driving a car, it is on an average, it is around 15 kilometers. So, I mean, there is always this fact, and it is always going to be, at least in these developing countries like India, the fact is, going to be how much do I pay per kilometer, and that is definitely going to be a selling point for these petrol heads or non-petrol or electric heads. So I think that is a good comparison to start with if I should buy or if I should even think about buying.
Yeah.
And it also comes up with the initial investment. Like if I'm investing right now in 2021, if I'm buying, for example, if I'm buying Hyundai Kona or the MG ZS EV, how easy it is for me to move on from A to B, how easy it is for me to charge, and how much if I'm investing. Like right now, if you're thinking of buying a Hyundai Kona, it goes around 25 lakh rupees. So that's the most expensive electric car to buy in India. And given the timelines, and battery decomposes as according to the charge cycle. Maybe the science would be different for electric vehicles and the batteries of electric vehicles, but then it is eventually going to die. So if I'm supposed to use an electric car on a daily basis, at least for my city commute, for the next 5 years, and I'm investing 25 lakh rupees today, and given the maintenance and all those things, so on an average, it is going to go around 50, 60 odd lakh rupees for me to own that car in a 5 to 10 years of timeline. In that sense, I mean, how much do these electric vehicles make sense as of today, or what the market look like?
So,
Any thoughts?
yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
Amod.
Go ahead, Nirmit.
No, I just think from what I've seen in Bay Area, like Bay Area is just every third car you see is Tesla. Every third car. You get bored of looking at Teslas. My friend, the one I told you who like goes like, "Abey yaar, look at that car." He came to Bay Area and he was so irritated because he's like a pure car lover and he's like, "What is this, dude? I only think." But from what I've seen there, coming to your question, Sati, I think number one thing is in the very beginning, you definitely have range anxiety. Okay, when you start, and I think I saw a video in which they were very good about like it was very well put. You see, if you want to know your habits of how good or bad you're going to be with respect to charging your car, just look at how well you charge your mobile and what your pattern for that is. If you are a lazy charger and you keep running out of juice, I guess that's going to be your habit for the car as well. Um, but
Very
but
interesting.
I think especially Teslas are very good in range, like it's like 230 miles and something. Nobody drives like that in one day, except for some trips. And I think that's where the
Yeah.
second factor comes in, which is the charging infrastructure. which I mean, freaking Tesla has like the supercharging network in US is just amazing, and also like especially in Bay Area or in LA, public electric free chargers are like abundant. They're crazy amount. In every office you go, there is a charging station available for free. So all the EVs parked there. um, so I think it's more that second part is more related to first of all the country's readiness to or their what their rules are around helping these companies, set up all these charging stations and all that stuff, and also like the adoption. So they're like intertwined, I think, right? How much people start using more and more chargers come up, even more people start using it because they're now more like, okay, yeah, I have somewhere to go. And I think some people also said that they started planning trips more meticulously than they used to before, obviously, because now they have to make sure that they're on their path there is a supercharger or something where they can charge. So I think it all depends, and it's very dependent on the country and the current infrastructure available. For India, it's pretty difficult, I feel, at this point. But for
For
US and
India,
Europe, it's good.
so I don't, Nirmit, where do you stay?
Now I'm in Ireland, but I used to be in Bay Area.
All right, so good job moving out of this country. First of all, as the story for India goes, no electric car has completed even 2 or 3 or 5 years in India. So we don't have the data
Mm.
to actually
Mm.
gauge the practicality aspect.
Correct.
How is it going to function? What is going to happen in rainy season? All those things are not being answered yet. I think the Nexon is there, Tata Nexon, which is selling quite well. It has a
Mm.
range of up to 140, 150 kilometers, which is
Yeah.
decent. It's not that bad.
Okay.
Now, people who are going to buy these cars are not going to be the first. It's not going to be their first cars. At least the first generation of users. It's always going to be like a second car or their leisure car. Like
Yeah.
it's a matter of pride that I'm going to drive an electric car. Some people might buy it, but most of them are just buying it because it's a new toy and they want to just experiment with it. That is the kind of people which are buying these kind of cars because they are not cheap, they are expensive. And
What's the price of that thing, Indian thing? You said Tata.
Tata Nexon, I think it costs around 18 odd lakhs, 18 to 20, something like that.
And
Yeah.
this is pure electric.
it's pure
Yes.
electric.
Interesting. I did not know that.
And the thing about India is that it's like USB-C and iPhone Lightning cable. Not all superchargers or even regular chargers are going to be the same. What is happening is I worked with Nexon, I worked with Tata closely to design their interiors. So when I was doing that, we got to know that all these problems are there all across the countries. And when you go and you plug your car to the charge, first of all, it's go have to be the right charger. Second of all, the
Okay.
right port. And third of all, after plugging it in, you need to come back again after 5 or 10 minutes to ensure that it is charging, because what is happening is not just with Tata Motors, with Porsche Taycans, with all these new electric cars, apart from Tesla is doing it brilliantly. Okay, Tesla is out of this picture. I'm talking about all the other companies. What's happening that these third party chargers and all these new sort of port, what is happening is that they are charging, and then after their come back after 20 minutes or coffee, they expect their car to be charged, but then there is an error saying that charging stopped. Now these problems are not yet solved, and these problems also need to be solved and to be adhered to. The
Interesting.
system needs to work very fluently. There needs to be notification on your phone saying that, oh, the charging has stopped. Come, please
Yeah,
take
I
a
was
look.
thinking about the same, like, some notification which would say, like,
So
it
these
stopped.
things are now, they are slowly, it's a new thing, it's a new transformation, so it's a new change. So they need to think about all these things.
Yeah.
Secondly, you said you are living in Ireland, right? So I read there's this YouTuber called Shmi150 who makes detailed reviews of his cars.
Okay.
He has a Porsche Taycan. Now, living in central UK, he says that he cannot charge his cars in UK because wherever he is going in UK, the traffic is so much that by the time he reaches to a charger, the battery is depleted. Like for example, the supercharger is like 2 kilometers away, but the traffic will be so much that that 2 kilometer time of commute is going to deplete his remaining battery, whatever is there in his car.
I
Right.
So
mean,
he
I
goes
cannot.
out of the town.
I,
Okay, he will drive 40, 50 miles using the M4 or whatever, and he'll go out of the town and find a shopping mall where there will be 3 or 4 chargers. And when he
Right.
will go there, he will find that there is like 200 cars parked in
Lines.
that shopping lot, and they are waiting, and they
Yeah.
are waiting
I
for
mean,
their car to get hooked on.
Yeah.
And out of those 4, only 2 are functioning. Out of that 2, one of them is giving the error that please come back again. Come. So,
I mean, it's not like कि भाई I need to भाई petrol खत्म हो गया है bottle में डाल के दे दे. It's not
exactly.
going to be like that for electric cars.
You need to, the system is not yet ready, and like you said, the aspect of practicality, it's difficult to gauge with all these things right now, all these
That is very
parameters.
interesting. Yeah.
Hey, I was checking Tata Nexon and I actually like what I see, dude. It's like a really nice compact
It's
car.
premium. The materials and the interiors are quite premium. It doesn't feel like a Tata because there is no rattle, there
Amod,
is no engine.
you can add up. You can add up. Tata has changed their design language. What is it called?
It's called
I
Impact
think they
2.
are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What is
So
it? Can you say that
Nexon
again?
Impact 2.0,
Called
Oh,
2.0.
Impact 2.0. What
So
happens
these
is
guys
the
are branding their Tata Nexon. Yeah, these guys are branding their Tata Nexon, their Safari, their Harrier, and all of these new cars based upon this Impact 2.4. I think, which is most probably, Amod can correct me if I'm wrong, which is most probably inspired by the Land Rover and Range Rovers that these guys also own.
yeah, it's like something. What happens is that they build a narrative to uh, they build a narrative so that their customers see what they're talking about and it aligns. Like for example, the if you see all Tata cars, they will have a V sort of cascading shape that goes across their grill, chrome line that drops down, and there is this tri arrow pattern that goes from each way. So they call it the humanity line.
no.
I don't know what that
Marketing
comes from.
terms.
Yeah, marketing terms,
Yeah.
humanity line,
I
and all
think
that.
every manufacturer has this. Hyundai
Yeah.
has
Yeah,
their
yeah,
fluidic design. Toyota has
correct.
their own. Volkswagen has their own. I think that's a way of standardization in inside the company.
Yeah, I mean
Hey,
design. Yeah, sorry.
no, you guys continue. I had some other question related to Nixon, not design related.
No, I was just saying like design language. I think we see it very commonly in software also, right? Which is like all material UI is and it's a design language. Same
Yeah,
things
it's you.
is yeah material U now. It's that's a design language. It's the same thing for cars. Like so
You
that
know what I
everything can be
remembered?
standardized.
I remembered TP8. TP8.
Pepe,
Yeah,
why
that's a Python coding standard. That's a
coding
design.
standard? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Would you say Swift is also something like that? Like they use a standardized process to write better? Would you say that?
Swift as in the language or?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Apple has its own design language. They don't name it anything like material or anything, but basically there are guidelines to how rounded the corner should be for an icon versus
Yes. Yes.
how the text should look like and what the gaps should be. So it's all UX basically. I think it's the same thing for car designs, right? Languages.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
the thought is like you can write books about it, but yeah,
Hmm.
they take great pride at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an important factor because it. I mean, like it goes back to the point that Kedar said and we talked about before, right? Like where people when they tried to make electric cars before Tesla, they just tried to make something that looks fancy, futuristic, and ended up making something that looks like I don't know, alien vomiting or something. It's like ugly as hell. But Tesla brought in
So
this like normal design language, and it
yeah,
made it
yeah.
a huge difference.
So
Yeah.
the transition that Tesla is able to break through compared to legacy companies like BMW. They have been backing on their signature grille design and
Yeah.
TriStar, Arrow, and all those. Now you are don't having an electric. Sorry, now you don't have IC engine cars. Why do you need the grille? So the
Yeah.
design is dismissed. So
Hmm.
if you remove that grill, how can you recognize the car?
Exactly.
It'll look like car design has become like smartphones. If you turn on any smartphone, only then you can identify what it is. Otherwise, it's just a slab,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. Correct.
So now the
Yeah,
race is like,
or if you have a bump on your camera, yeah.
yeah. Now the race is like, okay, we need to have the grill because people cannot get used to it very easily. So the transition design is like slowly
Yeah.
grill here, then they will remove the grill. Tesla has already removed the. There's no grill only.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the brilliant part.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the advantage of a
I think
budding.
if at this point, if I can, mention about Mercedes and their EQC. The way they have designed is there is this there the conventional logo and they have kept the grill, but then they have kind of added these stars kind of lights in that
Yeah,
grill, which are kind of intuitive that if you are around or if you're starting your car, it will light up in a fashion. If you're powering off your car, it will there's kind of
Yeah.
a intuitiveness to how these guys are changing their aesthetics and their age-year-old language
yes,
that these guys have developed.
yes. Because earlier the cars used to sort of talk to you. Like there is a
Hmm.
car, the engine of the sound will make you realize what car it is, what engine it is running,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
will make you a little bit accustomed that okay, there is a car. Now since
Yeah.
there is no engine, nothing, they are using lighting and all these things to talk to the car.
Correct.
Or for example, latest tech in car interiors also, there is voice command, right?
Yeah.
People
Hmm.
big issue that voice command. But what some companies like Neo and these people are doing, they are adding small elements or small embellishments on the top of their dashboard with two eyes and wink wink, some sort of acknowledgement factor that
Right.
when you talk to the car also talks to you.
Hmm.
So this is what is happening with lighting and all these things
Yeah.
in the electric car.
Yeah.
So new fresh faces are going to come,
Correct.
completely out of the box thinking. The new race is to find new shapes in car design. Basically, it's a transition phase, and it's going to be a very interesting phase according to me.
Yeah.
I,
And the
I, what I wanted to ask
ask.
is, so this EV thing in India, how is the sales going? If I wanna buy a Tata Nixon, like what is is there a wait or all that stuff?
Wait,
Waiting
wait
time,
time.
Waiting. Waiting.
Waiting
Wait,
period.
it is
waiting
booked. It's booked.
till
It's
like how
heavy.
many months?
I wouldn't know
Let's
that,
see.
but you
Because
can check it.
I don't know that it looks it's a SUV and it looks nice.
So I
I think it's
just
a
Wait time.
crossover rather
It's a
Kedar,
than.
I
crossover.
think
It's not an SUV. Thanks for correcting that.
Yeah, Satvik.
An
I
SUV
was just
and a
finding out
crossover.
these numbers.
SUV has a
I was
chassis
just
specifically, right? And
Yeah.
crossovers don't.
I was
Yeah, you
finding
think?
these numbers, and what I see right now is a Nexon sales. So this is a
Mm-hmm.
January 11, 2021 report. Nexon sales set a new record with 8,683 units a month. So
Wow.
that's the scale with
Whoa.
which Nexon is being sold.
Yeah, that's good. I'm saying it's like a maximum 3 months, 4 months wait time. Not
Dude,
Yeah,
bad.
that is nothing,
not
dude.
bad.
When
Not,
we got our Ford EcoSport, that was around 6 or 7 months wait, like 2, 3, 4 years
yeah,
ago.
some petrol diesel cars have like
Yeah.
13 months wait. So not bad, like 4 months. I think people will wait. They will see how the neighbor is performing, and then they will buy.
But 8,000
I
cars
think
per month is
the
crazy.
the fact is, I mean, we were discussing about this earlier in this discussion, and at the end, it comes down to how much I'm getting per rupee. And if we kind
Hmm.
of do the calculations, like if I'm paying 100 rupees for 1 liter of petrol and it is giving me around 14 kilometers of range,
Yeah.
the same amount, so same 100 rupees, how much it is giving. So eventually that comes up as a a plus point for these electric cars. no matter the size. So even if you buy an Mercedes EQC or if you buy a Tata Nexon,
Yeah.
on an average, the mathematics is going to be the same. And if you kind of pile up, so it's like compounding. So if you're owning, I think I'm answering my previous question. So if you're owning an electric vehicle, and even if you're purchasing it for a much higher price than its alternative petrol size. So Tata Nexon also comes in a petrol version variant, which is much cheaper. It is around 12 to 14 lakh rupees, if I'm not wrong. So if I'm investing that 18 lakh rupees right now, and eventually if I kind of think that how much would I save, so it's like investing now, and then recurringly I'm saving more and more, and eventually levels up, and then I am capitalizing on that. So that
Delayed gratification.
mathematics is kind of catching up more and more events. Once
Yes.
everyone is kind of buying these electric vehicles.
So first of all, this mental block has to be, get people need to get off this thought that electric car charging, how will I do it? People should really ask themselves that how much do they actually travel every day? They are saying that, oh, what happens if I get stuck and all this.
Yeah.
That happens with regular petrol cars also. You
Yeah.
get stuck, there is traffic.
Yeah.
When there is traffic,
Exactly.
there is traffic.
Yeah.
Something or the other will happen. So they just need to
Yeah.
realize and calculate better. Like what Satvik said, it's delayed gratification. They just want instant. Oh, I just
Yeah.
want right now. I want right.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
It's
Honestly, I
cumulative and over
think
time.
that you don't have if you have decided that you wanna buy an electric car, like in India, you're pretty sure you know that what you are using it for. You'll see the
Exactly.
purpose. Then it doesn't has to be a what do you say petrol car versus EV. You might just buy two-wheeler. That four-wheeler might be a headache. So if you are buying an electric car, I don't think your concern is you'll get stuck, because I mean, it will be if you are lazy and not charge your car. But I remember when I was using the Leaf, uh, I would go for recruitment, all that stuff, and I would come home, and if it's like less than 20%, I would put it for charge, and overnight it gets
Yeah.
ready by
Yeah.
morning. Like if you are doing a really unplanned trip, which is highly unlikely, then it's an issue.
Yeah.
Or if you have two cars, your primary is your no, you cannot say primary. Your primary might be an electric car which you use for work, but then maybe you have to take your family to the next city, then you use a petrol car, something like that.
So
See, the
if
thing
I
there
interrupt,
is,
if I interrupt you, Kedar, over here, I mean the problem is very very evident in India specifically, in a developing country, wherein people think like, okay, if I'm charging it, how much time it is taking, and if I want to recharge, how do I do that? So from what I've known and from what I've read, following up the industry updates, these guys are kind of tackling this problem with two to three aspects of it. So they not only give you options in terms of supercharging. So with mobile technology, with applications, these guys give you a way to find out the nearest locations where you can fast charge. And by default, these guys also include a wall adapter based charging, which is same as your mobile phone charger. So it plugs in a three AC wall socket, and then it can eventually charge up your car overnight from around
Yeah.
0 to 100 or 80%. That is one way. And a very interesting fact that these guys also talk a lot about is, I'm not sure Amod can correct me, but then that is recharging. For example, if you're braking, if climbing down a hill, that is regenerative charging. So these guys also claim a lot around that, and they also say that commute. For example, if you are moving from your office to home, and then there are 10 such signals around the road which you're traveling. So eventually, in electric cars, braking is not the conventional braking that we see in petrol cars or
yeah.
gasoline cars. It's like if you take out of your foot, the brakes, the recharging comes into picture, and then slowly and eventually it kind of takes up the juice from the breakage. Eventually, when the car is braking itself, it regenerates. Gets that energy, and it pushes it, recharges the batteries. And another example, I mean, I was watching a documentary the other day, and these guys were saying that they were testing these electric vehicles around a hilly region. So the amount of battery that they utilized while climbing up, eventually around 60 to 80%, it was not 60, but then around that much amount of battery was recharged when they were climbing down. So that is also kind of a way in which these electric companies and electric car manufacturers are tackling and marketing the facts, so that more and more people are accustomed, or maybe their fear of buying and the anxiety that Termik mentioned, that goes down. So that is how these guys are tackling it.
Kedar, you remember we talking heavily about F1 technology, Khare.
Yeah,
This is basically
I
Khare.
know. we we used to watch F1, and I think in 2009, first time they got this system called kinetic energy recovery system, where so F1 cars high speed and high braking. High braking generates a lot of heat, and they would convert it into they would store it into power, and then you if the use of a button, it gives you 80 horsepower more. I think it was 80 horsepower more, or it was 80 more brake horsepower, something like
Like
that.
NOS kind of scenario.
Yeah,
Instant boost.
so and they still use it. It's really cool that they do that. But yeah, it's yeah, I know Tesla is using something like that in their cars. I wanted to focus on uh,
I
economic
mean, then
aspect of these
you guys might
cars.
know. You guys might know from when these F1 races have also introduced the electric part of it. So, like F1, there is also an electric version wherein these guys compete. There is a name I cannot recall it, but
Formula
then you
E.
guys can.
Oh, my.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, for
Formula E.
Formula E. Dude, their pit stop is
Yeah.
like you come into pit lane, you directly put your car in, then sit, get up, go to the next car, and then take the next car.
Oh,
The kind of
Change it. It's really funny to watch, man.
yeah,
because
But
you
those
cannot
cars are
charge
really
it as
quick.
fast.
you cannot charge it. But yeah,
Those
so
cars are really quick, and yeah,
So there's 3-4 things I was about to say. Short things. Number one, I remembered at some point when we were talking about the lack of grills anymore. We were talking about that, right? I just remembered that Ford F150 Lightning, the front compartment is a waterproof and leak-proof compartment where you can literally fill it with ice. It's temperature controlled
Yeah.
and it has a leak thing also, like to take the water out and all that stuff. Anyways,
Drain out.
yeah, drain out. Second thing,
yeah.
just a fun fact, Teslas. So like if you take a Tesla Model S, let's say, and then there are multiple models in it, right, with multiple ranges. Fun fact is all the Tesla Model S's, no matter which one you take, have the same hardware, same battery, same amount of battery, same motors. It's controlled by software, how much range you get and how much you don't. so, so even if you get the lesser model, it's actually controlled by software and firmware. The lock is software and firmware based.
So
Everything.
you can add a mod, hack it,
Yeah,
and
you
then
can.
get.
You can hack, and a lot of people do. But the problem is, once you hack it, you don't get update. The Tesla ecosystem is like Apple. You hack it,
Okay.
you're gone.
Hey, so how much time does a regular charger take, and how much time does a whatever that thing is?
Supercharger is around I think 20 to 40 minutes for 0 to 100 or 0 to 80 or whatever.
Oh.
And if it's a 240 volt, then it's around 5 to 6 hours. And if it's a normal home charger, which is not even 240, like 120 in US, right? Then it's overnight.
Okay.
I think these guys name it with the wattage. So if you have a 7 kilowatt hour, it would take around 6 hours. If you have a 12, 15 watt hour, it would take around 4 hours. If you have much powerful, like 25 to 30 watt hour charger, which is like a super charger, they have these specialized boxes and all that equipment. If you have that, then it is basically instantaneous. Like in 30 to 40 minutes, it's from 0 to 100. So it's in no time.
Yeah. Definitely.
But then the fact is, like, every car is supposed to support these different charging methods. So if I'm buying a Tata Nexon, it's kind of an assumption that okay, it will also supercharge, it will also slow charge, just like that.
Because what I was thinking is when these cars were coming, there was a thing that what will happen to, I think, from not just EV perspective but economy perspective, what will happen to people working in petrol pumps. And they said they will charge cars over there, but no one's gonna charge car at petrol pump, right? Because
Let
uh,
me
So I mean, people
let me
people
Nirmik,
working
Nirmik,
on, yeah.
let me add to that. It's a fun fact. I don't know if that I need to mention one of my friends. He's into oil distribution. He owns an oil mixing company, and he is a distributor across Nasik and Maharashtra. So I remember you just brought that memory. I just recalled, and we were discussing just having such kind of chitsets, and then he mentioned that okay, I need to change my profession, and I'm like, what? You're making money into oil and you want to change your profession? And then he's like, see, now if you look at how things are changing, how people are slowly and eventually moving on to electric cars. If I'm still buying and selling oil, I won't make money after 10 to 20 years. That business might go down and I still need to have a sustainable business,
yeah,
or as a sidekick I need to have something. And then he mentioned that okay, if not oil business, I would start a maintenance shop, which would include both petrol cars as well as electric cars.
does he
So
like, okay, so
I'll just come over here.
provides oil to petrol pump, your friend,
he's a distributor. So
distributor
if
of
you
oil, okay.
yeah
So
if
he
you are
doesn't own petrol pump, but he provides
yes,
something like that.
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
interesting.
Okay, so just like conventional IC engine vehicles, electric vehicles also need certain type of oils. It will require coolant and it will require all these other
Okay.
things that you would want to do. And people are going to be super smart. They are not going to let these petrol pump people to go away. They are going to be coming up with battery swapping stations. So there are always going to be people where they are going to help you to do all these kind of things.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
are always going to be
I don't know,
places where you
man.
open your hood and you put your brake fluids and you put your EV coolant fluids and all those sorts of things. I mean, this
I
is
I have a
probably
question
going.
over here. I mean, these car manufacturers, electric car manufacturers, they market that okay, this is a very low maintenance low maintenance scheme, and you don't need to change your oil and all those things. And now you're mentioning, because you're from the industry, you know it better. So that's the reason I'm asking you. You mentioned that even these motors, even these vehicles have some kind of fluids in them, and I understand coolants and all those things would be there. But then when it comes to maintenance, is it really feasible for to change that fluid, or how do you do that? If it's an electric motor, if it's a real rear wheel hub mounted motor, or any such kind of a scenario, how do you actually do that? Because these components are actually coupled up, and if you're thinking of getting it out, wouldn't it affect the efficiency, and what kind of scenario?
So for a Tesla Model S right now, if you want to change your brake fluid or if you want to change your fluid that cools the front batteries, the front axle batteries, there is a place where you open your hood, and when you open your hood, the front bonnet part, which you're going to say, and then you refill it. But all of this is controlled via an app, and it is controlled by a software. If you lose the key or if the car runs out of juice, there is no battery in the car. There is no manual override. Unlike in normal cars, you open the front door and there's a latch where you can just pull and then
Hmm.
the bonnet opens. So like I said, this all needs to be thought out very clearly. Right now, they are not thinking about this in a very clear manner. They are maybe allowing, there is some sort of ambiguity that how will the change and maintain their car at their home. So it's not foolproof right now. It's happening as we speak. It's happening, and it will
Yeah.
take some time to perfect this kind of things.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
use cycle and the use case scenario has not been fully explored by the
mm,
users.
mm,
Tesla has the most number of cars and they have the data,
yeah.
so they are always again they are going to be ahead of the curve. But still, there are some things like these which they also couldn't figure out. So
Yeah, I mean, they're going to come with time and experience. Like, you need to first have something that works and then you need to make it robust, right? If you try to make everything perfect from first, you'll never get there, baby.
you'll never get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two things to what Kedar said, right? And I think both are interrelated. So, first thing is about owning multiple cars, right? And second one about people working at petrol stations. I think both of these things are very specific to countries. right? So, for example, people working at petrol stations, it's specific to India or Southeast Asian countries, or maybe some African, I don't know. But that's not the case in other like Western countries.
Basically
Nobody works
developing
there.
countries.
Yeah, nobody works there. And there was also, I won't belabor this point, but there was a the podcast with Joe Rogan and Naval Ravikant, right? They had similar talks about, there was some candidate, US presidential candidate, who was talking about AI and how it will take away jobs from truck riders and all that stuff. I mean, see, it's in the history, it's always been there. There have been jobs that came up which would threaten somebody's job, and then they found something else to do, maybe in the same line, maybe in a different line. So I mean, we can't say that what will these people do, like, I mean, they have to
So
start doing something else.
I was working with this company called Nikola. They were developing a electric truck. They are
Yeah.
developing an electric truck. So Adient is an American company, so they are like, okay, make in America, whatever. So we'll make the switch from there. So an interesting. So they were speaking about eliminating all these fuel stops and all these things, and there will be absolutely no infrastructure required for these autonomous trucks, right?
Yeah.
But one of the people from Nikola itself told us that the eyes and ears and the experience that a human has, or the intuition that a human
Intuitiveness.
has, that
Yeah.
I need to check my trailer, I need to check the vibrations, I need to check all this. So the hardware that is required to check on such things, on such intangibles, is not there yet. At
Yeah.
least not now, at least not in the
Yeah.
next 5 or 10 years. Maybe in the next 10 or 15 years it will be all good. But there is still a lot of things that need to be considered, and
Yeah.
they need to be thought about.
Definitely.
I think, Nirmik, it's a fun fact. I mean, we were discussing previously how every company is now getting into electrification and getting into making and manufacturing mass manufacturing these electric vehicles. And if you can relate now, as you have brought this point, it's also about survival of the fittest. And if a company has come up with this innovative idea of using electricity as a mainstream power source, and they are making money, minting money, and everyone is following them, eventually out of insecurity, one would think that, okay, I should also do that.
Yeah.
And maybe most probably that is also one of the reasons why these manufacturers now, as Amod also mentioned, that these are discontinuing this engine and that engine. So maybe that is also a reason why everybody wants to ride the train and get it the forefront when things start going mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah, and to the last point that I was saying, so owning multiple cars, right? So what you said, Kedar, I think that's true for Western countries where people usually own two cars, where you can have one electric car for everyday use and one for times when you might go for long range and all that stuff. And it's very common, of course, in US and probably here also to have multiple cars. But I don't think it's that common in India, right? Owning one car also is kind of a big
deal,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you can't always go for that one electric, one gasoline thingy.
Yeah.
You can take an example of how the FASTag is being implemented in India.
Yeah.
So you know how well that story is going.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty good. And that actually reminds me of another point I was going to say, which comes into the other topic now. We all topics are
FASTag-
messed up, but
FASTag is like Aadhaar card for cars.
I think Nitin Gadkari did a very good job of introducing FASTag by looking at other countries. Like, for
Yeah.
example, again,
I
in
think
Bay
I want-
Area and LA, for electric cars, you are allowed to drive in the HOV lane, which is so in these countries, HOV lanes are basically, for anybody who doesn't know, is high occupancy vehicle. So if you have more than two people in a vehicle, you are allowed to go
Two
in
or
that
more.
lane. Yeah, two or
Yeah.
more. I mean, it changes sometimes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Houston has variable, LA might not have variable. It depends. But it's like, and in the center of the highway, there's one lane on each side, which you can only drive in if you have two or more than two people in your car, and there are cameras that keep clicking.
Or you have electric vehicle, even if
Exactly.
you're alone.
Exactly. Or if you have electric. So like this contributes to helping the infrastructure and the
You also get
encouraging
yeah.
the-
To
tax
add to your
revenue.
point, you also get a tax credit on
Yes.
your electric vehicle purchase. So they are encouraging that, which is a good thing. And
That's also a case in India,
but
to
yeah,
mention.
yeah, but that's all in US. In India, I was thinking
Now,
like imagine 10 years from now, which company do you see like dominating the electric market in India?
It's hard to say.
that would be difficult to answer right now. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
considering
Probably a
very few
company that Ambani
companies
starts.
I
would
was thinking exactly same. How come he hasn't entered electric vehicle? He has money, he has no baggage.
अभी
He
चैट में
doesn't.
वही चल रहा था कि
Yeah,
इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू लाइक सम टाइम अगो
yeah.
इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट इंडिया में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाना आई सेड द
it,
सेम थिंग अंबानी को लेके आओ विल डू इट.
He will do it. For two wheeler, I think Ola will, you know,
I
Ola will
think
get it done.
I think Tata Motors is going to be the one who's going to prevail because they have the right connect with the government and
Yeah.
they have every sort of
They have
thing.
knowledge also.
They have knowledge, they have government. I
They
think they
need
are going
that
to be
willpower.
they
I'll,
yeah, and it's not very easy to start a car company. It's honestly very difficult. It's
yeah.
not as easy as it seems like. Even if
Lot
you
of
have a lot of money,
investment. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think
yeah,
Ambani doing a new car company is a good thing, anyways. I think he needs to work in partnership with others to set up probably the infrastructure of charging or something. That will be a better use of Ambani than creating a new car company.
Is there a regulation in
Ambani,
India with respect to charging station? Because that will be helpful if you
yes.
could. Yeah, universal charger.
I think I can agree to what Amod mentioned, and one fact about Tata right now is these guys have really managed to change their picture, how common man perceive the brand Tata in terms of cars. I mean, 5 years, 10 years back, if you discussed this fact that which car, which brand is a better brand, people used to not agree upon that. Okay, you should buy a Tata vehicle because of this thing and that thing, maintenance, after sales support and all those things. So Tata has really managed to change that brand. And as he was discussing that they also have government ties. If you right now discuss this point, and even if you read on online about the charging infrastructure, and is it feasible, or if I'm owning a petrol pump, should I be looking into setting up a charging infrastructure, and all sorts of kind of discussion. Tata Power, a subsidiary of Tata, is actually looking into building this infrastructure, and also trying to tie up their Tata branded electric vehicles with some kind of scheme with wherein the charging station is powered by Tata Power. So that has also been in the works right now. And interesting enough, if I mean, we have been discussing a lot about Tesla and other countries, but then if we look at Indian market, if you even kind of sum up briefly what is the list of these interested parties or companies that are working around the charging infrastructure, and there are a lot, at least 20 plus such companies, wherein Tata Power is one of them, is ABB is also one of them, wherein these guys are looking into building up these charging infrastructure across India. So maybe it might not be into headlines, but then these guys are really getting up and running, to be around, and getting on the race to be the pioneer in, at least in a developing country like
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
And I think one point which we kind of neglected in this case, specifically in terms of a developing country like India, before Tesla, before any kind of electrification, that even we knew that, okay, there could be an electric car, there were electric bikes in India.
Yeah.
There was this
Yo
Yo brand.
bikes.
Yo
Yo
bikes.
bikes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Whatever
these
happened to
guys,
that?
exactly. I'm not sure
Reva
if,
was
if it
before
was
that.
Indian.
Sorry, I was just
I'm
saying
not sure.
Reva was also before that.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, in terms of specifically in terms of bikes, because India is a bike-heavy country and people prefer bikes than cars, at least the middle class. So, actually, at this moment, if you even Google, there are actually well-established brands which are investing, or either they are into R&D, or they are into a phase wherein they are going to deliver electric bikes which are actually usable and practical in
Yeah.
coming years in 2020 and 2022. And one such company is Ultraviolet. If you guys follow Ultraviolet F77, they were in news. They were trending, I think, in 2019 or 2017. I'm not sure. And these guys brought up the idea of swappable batteries. So when someone mentioned in the discussion that you just swap up the battery, so these guys have their bikes which can swap, their batteries, and with them they also marketed an infrastructure wherein you just give a call if your battery is dead. Our guys will come in, take out the dead batteries and replace them with our own, which are full recharge. So that kind of thing is also going on. And just to mention, I was discussing about Ultraviolet. TVS, which is a well-established motorcycle brand in India. These guys are like around 25% of this Ultraviolet startup, which is a Bangalore-based startup. So that kind of highlights even the micro. What was that phone brand? Micromax.
Yeah.
Even the Micromax brand owner is he has tie-up. I don't know if it is a tie-up or something, but then these guys have brought up the Chinese Soco or something kind of a branded vehicles, two-wheelers, electric bikes, and then they are selling and rebranding it as Revolt 400V or something. So there are 2 to 3 models.
Right.
So that is really happening also in the bike space in India, which is very fascinating. Even Bajaj is about to launch its Chetak brand, which is a very renowned brand. And these guys are going to relaunch this Bajaj Chetak as a pure electric bike than it was previously as a petrol scooter. So that is also interesting what is happening around in India.
Yeah, definitely. I think electric bikes and all are definitely are going to play a much more important role in India than electric cars. And definitely companies need to look into that. The two-wheeler companies, Bajaj, Honda, Hero, all these people need to take lead as well. I think we could talk a lot more about this, but we do need to curb on time. As always, it's a fight against time. We want to talk more, but it becomes too long, unfortunately.
I think we're drifting today a lot.
Yeah, I mean, cars is a topic that, especially guys, to some or the other extent, even though I'm not a car enthusiast, but to some extent we like to talk about cars, so we get drifted away with car topics as well. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I
Some
think
nice
having
discussion. Yeah.
Amod was a really good insight into the insider parts of the industry, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think from what we would have talked, it would have been mostly just about from what we have observed or read or seen. He brings in the inside perspective. So
Yeah,
He's the
that's why I
subject
got
matter
him
expert today.
actually our guest. So thanks to Amod for
Yeah.
joining the chat today.
So I'll just I have 2 facts today. I'll make them quick. I won't belabor, and then I have one last point to talk about. So number 1 fact is, and they are like current events. So again, they're space related, but
Oh God. I thought you were talking cars today.
Yeah, I thought I thought
wearing a
cars.
NASA T-shirt. If you
Nice.
notice.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's
That's
But
the
then
space
that's the
shuttle.
past.
That's the space shuttle. Yeah. So two companies are launching humans within the next 2 weeks. One is Virgin
Galactic.
Yeah. One is Atlantic Galactic. So I was confused, but I think it's Galactic, which is the tourism one, and second is Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos. Sorry. So of course, Richard Branson announced after Jeff Bezos announced to try to beat him. They're doing on 11th, and there's one Indian in there actually. He himself is also flying, which is pretty good. And the way they are doing it is completely different. As you guys might know, the plane goes up and then it releases the spacecraft. It's completely different than a vertical launch kind of scenario. Versus Jeff Bezos has his rocket, and he himself is going. His brother is going. And why I thought this is worth mention is because there's a woman. The third person is a woman who's going to fly with him. She is 82-year-old. Okay, and she was first trained 62 years ago something by NASA to be the test things for the first flights for humans, right? But then at that time the rule was that they need jet fighter flying experience to be actual astronauts, and at that time Air Force didn't allow US Air Force didn't allow women to be jet pilots. So they could never actually fly. They just became the test beds. And then for some reason NASA became hostile to them, blah blah blah. I don't want to get into that. But she has been offered the chance, and at 82 years old, she's going to be the oldest person ever flying into orbit. Uh,
You
so
think
that's-
this is just to get goodwill?
It is because I mean
Yeah.
it is definitely a marketing stunt. Jeff Bezos himself going is a marketing stunt,
Yeah,
risking
because
his own life for on all that stuff.
Dude, how many of you guys dig the change.org petition against Jeff Bezos that these many people have signed that Jeff Bezos should not return to the earth? I mean, what shit is that? And do you really feel that it's do you guys know about that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
yeah, I heard about it. I mean, I don't, wish
Crazy.
bad stuff on other people, but it's funny.
it's funny.
Although I don't like him.
Yeah,
There is
same.
something about this super
Can you
successful
reiterate what
guys.
it is?
So some people as a prank made basically a change.org petition where they said sign this petition, like they said to people, sign this petition that Jeff Bezos, once he goes into space, never comes back.
Okay, that's quite.
Yeah.
So change.org is a public website wherein if you want some change to happen or if you want a support from the common people, you basically publish a petition stating that this is the aim and this is the reason and these are the things that we are expecting to happen. And you basically float it out on social media, and people like me and people like who are not even related and who feel like, okay, I can basically support this cause. So then you go and you basically sign it up with your name, your email address, and then you vouch that, okay, I am supporting this cause, and then your name gets listed and the count increases. So it's kind of that prank that Nirmik mentioned, and people have literally had the time to do something like this and go and also support this. So that is actually funny.
Hey, yeah, but that change.org thing, don't take it seriously because
Yeah,
there are people out there. I think you just need an account and you just sign petitions. So whole day you are, just signing petitions. I don't think it takes more than like 2 minutes
Yeah.
to find it, and
But then I have actually seen actual real impact. I mean changes and petitions that actually had real impact, and people supported that. So it is actually a very well-renowned and well-recognized platform.
Sure.
Yeah, it is well recognized. I don't know how efficient they are. I think most of the time people are just trolling with funny petitions.
I mean, even the case with the Andamans, I think so, or the Goa case, wherein there was this road which was going to construct. There was this road which was going
Let's
to
come
construct,
back.
and
Yeah.
it was supported by these public platforms. Anyways, let's talk cars and facts.
Yeah. So the second fact again about about the first fact, if you are free on 11th of July and 18th or 19th of July, whenever these both are flying, try to make sure to go and watch their coverages. It's always super exciting. You can go to their official YouTube channels, or there is one specific person I know I like to watch cast. He casts usually, so he's called Everyday Astronaut. I like watching his
yes.
streams.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he's great. Like he gives a lot of information, so you can watch him also.
Everyday astronaut.
Yeah,
Everyday astronaut.
but his videos are amazing, dude. He puts so much effort into his videos. And for SpaceX launches now for Starship, he has bought a property in Boca Chica, and he goes there for every launch and streams it live.
Oh, okay. Boca Chica.
But I'm so glad there is.
What did you say? Boca Chica? What?
Boca
Boca
Chica
Chica.
is an island.
Boca Chica.
It's a place near at the border of Mexico and Texas, basically, where this new Starship development and testing is going on for SpaceX.
I'm so glad I found someone who is excited about all this stuff. There are a handful of people I know who is actually talking about Starship and the Super Heavy and whatever. All that.
I love talking about that. But yeah, the second fact is about a historic telescope, and I don't know if you guys have heard the Hubble telescope.
Yeah.
After 30 years in operation, it has stopped working right now.
Oh, sad.
Stopped working as in there was a malfunction or something or what?
Yeah,
I think they
it just
decommission
stopped.
it. Yeah.
No, no, they haven't decommissioned it yet. So the thing is, it went into a lot of problems over the years. In the very beginning, also, the first time it got launched, there was a big problem. The mirror was blurry. They did spacewalks, and they repurposed it multiple times. And in 2016, they had decided this is the last time that we are going to service this, and it was supposed to last till June 2021. And literally, the date that they had said, 2 weeks after that, it has stopped working. So they are still trying to get it back up. They don't know what is wrong. We still don't know if there will be any mission to go there and again revive it. But it's a very historic telescope. If you just go and look at everything that Hubble telescope has shown us, every modern picture of universe the real pictures, not artist impressions that you see, at least I think most majority of them come from Hubble. And there's a new telescope that's going to go, which is the James Webb telescope, but the band is
Yes,
completely different.
yeah, it's so the way it works is different.
Yeah, it's completely different. So we cannot say it's a one-on-one replacement for Hubble. So to have Hubble and James Webb would have been a much better thing than to have just James Webb.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
so-
Kepler is still on, right? Kepler is the planet hunter that we are.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I haven't read about Kepler from a long time, to be honest, but I've heard that name. I've watched about.
Oh, that's very interesting. I think I read about this Hubble being decommissioned 2-3 years back, and all of a sudden I just hear it today from you. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just gone out of. I hope it comes back to life because it's done amazing things for us. And also another fun fact, I think the mirror when it was produced, I don't know if it still is, but it's the biggest single piece mirror
Space mirror.
Yeah.
that we have ever created.
I think, I mean, it's very blur to me. I cannot recall it correctly, but then the way, the size that they required the mirror to be, and the focal point that it required, it was so huge that they had so much of engineering challenges while manufacturing it, and it was actually a miracle and a very, I would say, a great achievement of that time, having developed that specific sized mirror for the Hubble telescope.
Yeah.
That was actually a feat to achieve. Yeah.
And the space shuttle shirt that you're wearing, actually, the very last space shuttle mission, I think, or the second last one, which was considered to be one extra mission, was to repair Hubble once.
Yes.
Otherwise, it was supposed to be decommissioned much before that. But to repair Hubble, they extended one. I think Bush was the one who extended it. But yeah. So yeah, that's for facts for
Interesting.
today. So there's one last thing that I want to talk to people about, and people in chat can respond if they're here right now. I don't know. It's been a long time, so I don't know if you guys are still here. So what we are thinking is, so we are doing podcasts every alternate Sunday, right? For the Sunday in between, which is the next Sunday, for example. So I think what the feedback we got from a lot of people is they want to contribute to this conversation, but because we cannot have like 10 people in this video chat, already 4 people struggle to talk to each other and make their points in 2 hours. So I think what we are thinking is there is an app called Clubhouse, which I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but it's like an audio pop in, pop out kind of rooms, where we will host the room. You can pop in, you can raise your hand. We'll say, okay, you can talk, and you can talk there. So to allow everybody to become a discussion, what we are thinking is whatever topic we talked about on this Sunday, we host a Clubhouse room the next Sunday, which also gives you guys a chance to explore the topic more if you're interested within the next week. And we hop onto that Clubhouse room next Sunday, and we all talk about your point of views, and we learn from you guys, the audience, and what you guys want to say. Like today, Amod came in, but there was another friend who also messaged me that he wanted to join because it was automobile. But unfortunately, on this version of Zoom, I can't add too many people. It's free version that I'm using, so I had to tell him that. But so that we can, get them in the conversations, I think. If you guys are up for it, please let us know in the comments if you're not live right now. If you guys would be open to this idea, and if you guys would like to hop in and have these conversations with us on the next Sunday of the podcast. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm also looking for. I'm using Clubhouse every day, so it's a really cool app, and we can have more people talk.
Yeah.
I just recalled, the first episode that we did, and Nirmik asked that what do you feel about this and why you're doing it. So it just occurred to me that I mentioned it's a way for us to connect. And today, I mean, Amod is totally new. We never talked, we never interacted, and through this platform and through this initiative, we actually came to know and also found out that we have some common interests, and it would be a very great chat if we discussed on a particular topic. So uh, getting into Clubhouse is definitely going to be a very a very great experience for us to connect with a lot of people at the same time. And Nirmik, I stand corrected. I think the Clubhouse thing that we're going to do next Sunday is going to be a discussion around the next topic,
No, no,
which
no.
we're going to do. So that
No. Not that.
okay, I
So
stand corrected. Yeah.
yeah. It will be so we making an internal meeting about the next topic. That's a different story, right? We can do that on any day. We can change the day from Sunday to something else.
Yeah, so
But
guys, we are getting organized.
yeah, but the clubhouse is supposed to be to talk about the topic we talked today and get insights on people who couldn't put anything in chat, or they watched the videos instead of watching it live, they watched it over the week when we put clips and they had something to say, and it's too long to write, or it's not really, great way to communicate by putting comments sometimes. Or they might have much more knowledge than they can put in words, right? So we would be able to learn from. That's why the clubhouse to talk about this topic. So next clubhouse, the first clubhouse we'll talk about electric vehicles more, the things that we missed today or we wanted to talk more about,
Yeah.
and what others' perspectives are. Like, I think interestingly, Shunya TV or Kishan basically put something which we couldn't touch today. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Kishan, for that. Is he was like, what about the people who just won't get to electric cars for n number of reasons, like they just like the noise of the cars, or they just like the feel of the gasoline cars, or they're just some or the other reason, like, how do we get them in, how do things change for them, what about them, and all that stuff. And it's an interesting factor in the electric car adoption and all that stuff. So maybe we can talk about that. So yeah, that's all the
In the next Clubhouse.
in the
Next-
next
We'll
club.
see you there.
Next Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
it from
Nice
me.
talk.
Anything else you guys wanted to add?
I'm
Amod,
done.
your mute.
Where do I find the rest of you both, Satvik and Nirmik?
Socials.
I'm not on Instagram.
Yeah,
We'll patch you in.
I'll get your number from Kedar, or
Yeah.
Kedar will patch us in.
I'll send you their socials.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, man.
Definitely.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks for
See you
having
guys.
me.
Amod. Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for joining. See you guys on Clubhouse, hopefully, and if not, then next Sunday on a new episode. And keep watching the clips that we put throughout the weeks. It helps us to, if you watch it through. I see this every time. And please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Everything is this. YouTube
Helps
needs all
our
this.
channel grow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really helps us. Thank you.
Yeah, YouTube needs a lot of pampering, so thank you. We missed Kshitij a lot today. He was in the chat, but we missed you. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.